Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Forrester Dean. I'm a sports chiropractor and physiotherapist here in Torrance, California, and I'm in my beautiful workout space, and I'm here today to talk to you about stretching. We got a lot of calls or a lot of interest. My patients or athletes or even just regular folks are looking for some good stretches that are safe and effective that they can do at home. So today we're going to do a Swiss ball workshop on stretching. So it's about 19 different stretches, and I've organized them into categories of seated, lying, kneeling, and standing. So we're going to go through the whole thing in this video, and then I'm going to break out each of the 4 categories separately as a specific follow-along workout, so to speak, okay? So first let's talk about setup. I like to have a kneeling pad. Now let's say you're on carpet, you're probably fine, you might want to add a mat. But if you're on a hard floor, you might want to put down a blanket and put a mat on top of that. But these exercise foam mats are really great for the kneeling series or just also as a prop if you need it. So what I want you to do is remove your watch, if you have a watch on, wear comfortable clothing. I like to wear loose clothing. I might even work out and then change into some light, dry, loose clothing. Or, you could just be in a, sports bra or a tank top or just whatever's comfortable for you. I highly recommend, though, that you cover your whole back and your whole front so you don't stick to the ball, because that can be a little gross. Okay, so when do we stretch? I'm going to say whenever you feel like it, except if you have an injury or if you're in a bad mood or if you're in a hurry, right? So stretching is really about taking time for yourself to take care of yourself, right? Because it does have that movement and that breathing element. I'm going to say it's kind of like yoga. It could be a little bit sort of a personal time meditation as well. Okay, so first, I like to start off with some oils. So I've got some Doterra oils here that I use in my yoga practice. So I'm just going to spot a couple of those on here, and then I'm just going to kind of rub it in, because I just feel like as I'm moving and my arms are moving around, not on my hands, it just adds to the experience. You could also put your oils in an atomizer off to the side. Okay, here, sports medicine trick. So this is rock sauce. It's made by Rock Tape. I use this in my practice a lot. It's basically a roll-on that is what's called a vapocoolant. So when you put it on, let's say put it on an injury or a tight area or a trigger spot, and then you start to sweat, it starts to get really, really cold. And that coldness doesn't really treat the area. What it does is allow you to move without pain. Okay, so let me put these away over here. All right, so we're going to need optimally 2 balls. So this is a ball that's made by Smart Life. This is a 45 centimeter ball. This is like the smallest ball that you can get. And this one's made by Fitness Gear, and that's a 55 centimeter ball. And this one's a little bit overinflated, so you can see there's a huge size difference between the two. Okay, and then like I said, you may want to get a pad or you have a pillow or maybe even a blanket that you can fold over that you can use for kneeling. And then I want to make a point before we start. This whole idea of putting like a racquetball or a squash ball or a tennis ball or something under your foot or on your IT band or your shoulder or your neck or something like that, that's not therapy and that's not helpful. That also causes scar tissue. Okay, so I'm just letting you know from the professional side, I would never tell anyone to do that, okay? All right, just have to cough a little bit. Clear my voice. All right, so no forcing, no jamming, no pushing too hard, more stretching or more like getting long, right? It's not better. That's not what a stretch is. Remember, you're probably going to stretch after you work out, right? So the definition of the workout is that the muscles get tight and short. That's what happens when they contract. All you're doing with a stretch is restoring them to their resting length, right? Their everyday, out there in the big world length. You're not looking to make joints go more and more and more and more, right? That's specific to specific sports. Let's say possibly gymnastics, right? Or something like that, or dancing, but not for regular folks. Okay? So all we're doing is restoring a healthy length to the muscles. Muscles don't get longer. They can only get shorter. Okay? So joints can open and get, more pliable, but it's not the muscle. Okay. Okay, so just looking at my notes here. So we're going to basically be going into a place where we're getting a little more length. So let's say in the chest right here. So I'm going to go into a little bit of length, right? I'm opening up, I'm exposing this muscle to some length, right? Now, if I hold it, I'm not going to get the same benefit as if I pulse it. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Okay, so for example, let's say you're going to do a stretch and you're going to touch your toes, which I don't recommend. Let's say you're going to touch your toes. If you go to push and get long and long and long and and you stay there, you're going to get the reverse effect. Okay, so I don't teach stretch where you, first of all, never touching your toes, but second of all, where you go into a stretch and it's sustained. I always teach a pulse, okay? And those pulses can be 5 or 10 usually is enough, and you would do them on both sides, okay? All right, so what we're doing here is we are just creating shapes with our bodies. And this is key, because the shapes that we're going to create in the Swiss ball workout are ones that we kind of don't ever get in our regular everyday life. So the benefit to this stretch routine is you're kind of, let's say you're kind of rounding out, you're rounding out all of the possible planes of motion and shapes that the body can do that don't happen in your day, that help you be more able to do all the things that you want to do without restrictions, okay? All right, I hope that makes sense. We're going to be doing breath to motion, and what we're going to be also doing is building a better relationship with movement and with our body, right? Okay, and we'll talk about the rest of this as we go. So let's start seated, okay? So I'm going to say, if you're a little taller like me, this is going to work. If you're a little shorter than me, this is still going to work, okay? I'm going to show you why. So we're going to put the little ball away, and we're going to start here seated, okay? Now, I'm going to sit on top of the ball, and I'm going to say that's the North Pole, okay? So that's where I'm going to sit if I'm tall, and you'll notice this isn't super important, but you'll notice I'm at least at a 90-degree angle. Now, if I was not as tall as me, I could sit on what's called the front corner of the ball, right? So it's not on the top, so I call this the front corner. Imagine there's a 90-degree angle there. Now you'll notice I'm still kind of at a 90-degree angle, but if I was not as tall as me, I could still use the big ball, and I'm going to just sit on this part of the ball instead, okay? The front corner of the ball. All right, so the first one we're going to do is called the seated twist. So I'm going to kind of show you on an angle. So separate your feet. Little extra, let's say I got to come up with something. A little extra, I don't want to say it's like a secret, a little helper, right? Is if your feet are wide, you're going to be a little more stable, especially for beginners. I'm going to want you to put your feet pretty far apart, because being being seated on the ball is going to be a little crazy in your head until you get comfortable that you're not going to fall off. Okay? If your feet are really narrow, you can push your knees and feet together for this drill, but it's way more challenging left and right to stabilize. Okay? So it's completely up to you. More advanced, more of a beginner. Let's start here. Okay? Seated twist. So I'm going to start by putting my hands on top of my thighs, comfortably here, relax my shoulders, and I'm going to kind of push. I'm going to push, and when I push, watch the top of my head. When I push, I get a little taller and a little longer, okay? In the seated twist, we want to make sure we're nice and tall, okay? So I'm going to reach around the opposite side, place this on my thigh. I'm going to reach around the back of the ball like this, and then I'm going to start to gaze around the corner, okay? Now it helps if you look at something. So I'm going to look at the light switch over there on the wall, and that's going to help me be stable, okay? And then I'm going to start to look over my shoulder, and then I'm going to pull this shoulder back as I push this way. So I'm twisting, pulling my shoulder back. Okay, you got that? And then we're going to come back to the center. Another little hint. We'll just call them hints now. Hint. If I twist one side, I'm not going to immediately twist to the other side. I need to do something in the middle to reset my spine. So I'm just going to cup the elbows, and I'm going to fold. Just like that. Okay? Now, I'm going to move over here because I want you to see something that's key. Notice when I fold how flat my back is. Can you see that it's flat? Opposing is the rounded or the turtle shell, right? So we don't want this turtle shell because what's that going to give us later in life? It's going to give us this, right? So the more time you spend like this, right, as the years go on, it's just going to exaggerate. And you know, I know you've seen that, okay? So we're going to cup the elbows, lift the chin, gaze forward, and flat back. So pull your ribs through. I call this in my yoga class, shine your heart. So bring your heart forward, shine your heart, or you can pull your rib cage through and flat back. Now, if you can't get down here, that's totally fine. But remember, we're going to kind of flow through it like this. And notice each time I'm kind of getting a little extra range, but I'm not looking to like go to the floor. That's not my goal. The shape matters, the movement matters, the quality of the movement, and that it's something that doesn't happen in my usual day. So we call that novel. Okay, so all these movements we're exploring, building a better relationship with movement and our body, right? Novel. Okay, so now I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to show you twisting to the other side. So you can see it sort of 45. So I'm going to take his hand, place it here. Oh, first, long spine, and place my hand here and around the back. Okay, and then I'm going to look around the corner, and this time I'm going to be a little more brave, and I'm actually going to turn and look. Okay, so here's how it would be. Take a big breath in, exhale. Now this is all in my normal range of motion. I'm not cramming, I'm not forcing. It actually feels nice. All right, so we did a bunch on that side. Okay, so that's the seated twist. Remember, we're just workshopping. At any point, feel free, stop the video, and try a bunch of these on your own, or just rewind it back to the beginning of this drill. Okay, next what we're going to do is a wide-legged fold. So I'm going to, let me move back a little bit. So I'm going to sit on the front corner of the ball. And if I don't think I mentioned this, but please take off your shoes, okay? Now you can be bare feet or sock feet, okay? So I'm going to turn my toes up towards my nose. I'm going to activate my shins here. And when I activate my shins, front of the leg, it stretches the back of the leg, okay? And then we're going to shine the heart forward or pull the ribs forward. Hands gently here, so don't lean, gently here. And I'm going to turn my spine down, and I'm going to turn my pelvis. And I'm going to come back up. I'm going to turn my pelvis, right? So you can put your hands on your hips even, and push with your thumbs in the back, and push and turn, push forward and down, okay? Forward and down. So again, notice I'm not, now I have really flexible hamstrings, so I have to be careful I don't stretch too much, okay? So this is definitely stretching the hamstrings and stretching the back of the calves, okay? And it might be stretching a bunch of other stuff too. So just a reminder, any one stretch isn't stretching only one muscle. It's stretching a whole, what we call sling, or a bunch of muscles that all work together, right? So forward fold, wide-legged fold. Okay? Now I'm going to fold right, and then not immediately to the left, in the center, and now to the left. Remember, if you do something on the right or the left, you need to come into the center. So I'm just focusing now on one leg or the other. Now let's say, okay, I already know you're going to ask me, can I be way out here? Sure. I mean, I can do that. For me, this feels really nice. But maybe for some people, they're not ready. But even here, I find it's a little difficult to do pulsing because I'm kind of already at my maximum, right? I'm kind of already stretching to the maximum. There's only a little bit of pulse handy. Now, some of you are going to be able to, reach to the floor, right? You get your elbows, and you might be able to kind of settle your rib cage in there. As long as your back is flat, and just kind of nestle in there. You can wiggle your butt a little bit, right? It's an exploration. Like, how many times do you do this in your day? I don't do this in my day, but now I am, and I like it, and it feels really great, okay? And then the last one we're going to do for seated is going to be overhead reach, okay? So we're going to just be seated either top or front corner of the ball. Go ahead and reach up and grab a wrist. It doesn't matter which one. Now, I'm going to bow my body to the side and reach over. And when I do that, see what happens with my legs? They kind of drift, so I'm going to keep them apart. Bow. Bow. So I'm opening this curve, opening the ribs, right? So ribs need to stretch too. Bowing the ribs. We're going to do a couple of really good ones. Actually, the next series, the lying series, and I'm not lying, has the best stretch ever. And then we're going to go to the other side. What do we have to do first? Fold in the middle. Just fold in the middle. Yeah. Okay, and now we're going to go to the other side. Reach up. Okay, bowing the bicep. Fanning these ribs open. Fanning these ribs open. Okay, and make sure you push your knees apart, because the temptation is to do this, right? And we don't want that. So push the knees apart, bow, bow. Okay, just showing you a bunch of times so you can see what I'm doing. All right. Okay, so that's the seated series. How'd you like that? Okay, now if you want, you take a break from the video, put it on pause. You can go back through and try a bunch of those again. Okay, next, the lying series. Okay, now this can be a little bit of a challenge. So let's take a short break, and we'll be right back for the lying series. Okay, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and start the lying Swiss ball series, the stretch series. So again, a couple reminders. No watches, no shoes. I would have water handy if you like. I would also say maybe some people like to stretch in the dark. That's an option. Turn the lights out, open up a window. Try to make it an experience for yourself. Like, I even drink I make like sun tea that's like berry tea, and I mix that with my water for my stretch. So it's a little bit more special somehow. Okay, so this can be a little bit challenging for beginners, all right, because you're going to feel really wobbly. So what I want you to do is sit on top of the ball. I'm going to show you from the side. And I want you to just take some baby steps down and some baby steps back. Okay? And now I'm holding on the ball so I feel safe. Baby steps forward, baby steps back. Okay? So the only thing it could be a little scary is you might fall off the ball on the left or on the right. Okay? So just keep track of that. You can widen your feet. Widen your feet, okay? All right, and back. Okay, now we're gonna go all the way down. So we're gonna come like this, and I'm gonna start to crunch. I'm gonna crunch, keep my feet wide, all the way to here, and then I'm gonna settle my head on top of the ball so my nose is pointing up. So I don't wanna be here, because that's straining my neck, and I feel like I'm gonna be sick, honestly, okay? Have a little bit of balance, a little vertigo. Okay, now notice my butt's really low, okay? So, I have to look. First, what we're gonna do is the back bend, okay? All right, just wanna make sure, don't screw it up. So, head is comfortable on the ball and the shoulders, okay? Widen your stance with the butt down. Okay, now, I want you to reach over your head a little bit, and I want you to grab a wrist, so I'm gonna grab my wrist, and I want you to pull, okay? And I want you to push your lower back into the ball and come into a huge curve. Now, I'm just gonna make a comment. My rib cage is totally wide open right now. All the ribs, they just all feel really fanned open. It's a really nice feeling, okay? All right, now this is where it can be a little scary. So I want you to step away, take your time, okay? And then I want you to pick up your hips, but make sure your nose is pointing up, okay, just for now, okay? And I want you to squeeze your butt and push your hips up really high into a tabletop, okay? Tabletop position. So your knees, your hips, and your shoulders are kind of in the same plane. Now you might be saying, this feels like an exercise, I don't feel like I'm stretching, right? So every stretch is an exercise, every exercise is a stretch, right? All exercise means by definition is it's planned, organized movement, right? So the other word is activity. So what's an activity? So activities are also are a bit planned, but they're a little more free-flowing, right? There's a lot more opportunity to kind of make up your own thing, right? And then the most free-flowing would be like play, right? That's completely unconstructed. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna take a big breath in, we're gonna drift and exhale, and I want you to really pull and push your plank right into your tabletop. Take a big breath in, exhale, really pull your arms and push up your tabletop, just like that, okay? Now look how small this is. All right. Now, if you're a little more advanced and you're okay being upside down, go ahead and lengthen, drop your head, straighten your legs, turn your toes up, and then open your arms to cactus, okay? Take a big breath in, reach up, exhale. So see, this is the flow part, right? So just relax, you can close your eyes. Right, so this is very advanced, okay? Just showing you that it's a thing, that it exists, okay? Now I'm gonna come back, so I'm gonna start to step back, okay? I'm gonna slowly come down. I'm gonna start to put your elbows in the ball, start to walk up, and come back up to seated. Now I'm going to say just take a moment and kind of hang out in case you're dizzy, okay? That's the roll out, back bend. That's the back bend. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next one that's lying. I'm going to keep my headset on. Okay, now you might want to use your little pad. Okay, I don't really need the pad, but I'm going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to bring the ball to my hip and it's going to stay connected. Okay, this drill is called side ball dive. So I made that up. Okay, so I'm going to step up. Now my feet are going to be in a straight line, one foot in front of the other. Okay, this is the top leg. I'll show you in a minute. Don't let the ball roll away. So give it a little grab, okay? Give it a little grab and come up on top and place your hand on the floor. Okay, now if the ball's too big for you for this, then go ahead and use the smaller ball, okay? And I think I need to be in the middle of the scene. Maybe I need to be here. Okay, well, here, come up. Okay, now our check is going to be that this is straight. My hand is on the floor underneath my shoulder. So I'm making this big tripod on top of the ball. Okay, my hip is in the ball. So if your belly is on the ball, you need to roll and bring your shoulder to point up. Okay, all right, this is where we're going to start. Okay, now this has an advanced one also, but I'm not going to show it to you. Save that for another time. Okay, so I'm going to reach up and I'm going to reach over my head. Okay, I'm going to gently bend my elbow and I'm just going to crawl like a little spider. I'm going to crawl my hand out to the floor. Leave your hand on the floor, palm down. Okay, now again, your belly's going to want to turn down, so I want you to roll up like that. Okay, okay, here we go. Now, we're going to move a little bit. So bend your elbow and bend your knees. Take a big breath in. Exhale. Straighten your legs and straighten your arm. Take a big breath in. Exhale. Now notice I'm reaching up and then down a little bit, right? So you can imagine what the advanced one might look like. So breath in, bend the knees and elbow, and reach. Okay, now I really love this. It's probably my favorite stretch ever. Okay, so I like to just really kind of get into it. And you can do, here's a good variation. So take a breath in, reach, and then open into cactus. Right? So look at my bottom hand, it's even in cactus. I'm just rotating cactus, and I can just be here. Oh, it's heaven. I feel like I'm stretching all that stuff that's really sticky, gets sticky. Okay, and I'm going to come back up, okay? And then, of course, you would do the other side. But first, I'm going to do a quick, I'm just going to turn around for you. So remember, we don't do one side and then the other immediately. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to show you here, is a little squat, okay? So we're changing. So side ball dive, squat, and then we're going to go back to side ball dive on the other side. So what I want you to do is just come down like this. I think I need a little more room. So let me roll this back. Start here. Getting hot. Okay. Oh, that's better. Oh, now, this is kind of like the first one that we did, which was the back bend, but you're just doing it with your butt really. Now I'm getting a nice stretch here, and I'm just going to open up. Take a breath in, exhale. Take a breath in. Yeah. So if you don't feel comfortable doing the back bend, you could do this. So I'm just going to do a couple of those because I just want you to see how I'm inserting a forward element or an element in the middle of my spine when I go between left and right, okay? So let's set up for side ball dive on the other side. So again, So this is going to be my top leg. So I'm going to put this leg in the front. And then I have to move my condenser. I want to turn it. I'm afraid it's going to turn off. So I'm going to take it out. Just going to hold on to it. Pretend you don't see this. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to come out over the ball. My hand is going to go on the floor, right? And then I'm going to reach over my head. I don't have any place to put this. There we go. Hand is on. So I'm going to make sure this is straight here. I'm going to reach up over my head. And I'm going to reach over to the side. And then I'm going to twist open. Yeah, so in our training studio, in our workout room, we have these giant skylights, and it's just heaven to be indoors and look up and see the sun. They're huge. So let's take a big breath in. Exhale, twist. Breath in and twist. Yeah, so you get the idea. Okay, side ball dive. So like I said, I'm going to do, a follow-along routine. I just want you to see it all. Okay, and then the last one we're going to do of the lying series is going to be the bear hug. So let me switch, and I'm going to get the little ball. So this is, I don't know if I'm sure you can see this. So this is my ball holder trick. So it's just 2 dumbbells. And then you can just stick the ball there and put it anywhere you want. Okay, now this isn't for everybody, so I'm going to use the little ball. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it into my chest, and then I'm going to set my chest up on top of the ball, and then I'm going to gently push the pad back. Okay, and I'm going to set my pelvis on the pad. Okay, press up, get nice and comfortable. Like I said, this isn't for everybody, but this is a really good front of the body, like hip flexors, abs, everything in the front right here, okay? All right, and then I'm just gonna hold onto the ball, give it a big bear hug, and then I'm gonna gently slide back into a deeper back bend. Now, I could honestly, I could just stay here forever. It feels so nice. Okay, now, for some people who are a little more advanced, you could use the bigger ball, okay? Now, how do we get out of this? Just put your hands on the floor and push yourself up and out. Okay, so if I was wanting a little bit more of a challenge, do the same thing, bring the big ball in, and then I'm going to need to move this, and then I'm going to slide back. Just like that. Okay, now, remember we talked about staying in motion. So how would you be, let's be creative. How would you get into motion being in the bear hug? Well, how about this? Tip, 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 right? So I can tip to the side if I want. And just kind of breathe in and out, and in and out, just like that. Okay, now bigger ball, how do you get out of this? You pull your hips back and you just come out like that, okay? All right. A bunch of my favorites. They're all in the lying series, okay? All right, so let's get set up for the next series, which is the kneeling series, okay? So go ahead and get your pad or your blanket or your pillow, because you're definitely going to need that for this. Okay, welcome back to our Swiss ball stretch workshop. Right now we're going to be working on the kneeling series. So like I said before, make sure you're wearing nice, loose, comfortable, I would say even dry clothes, like maybe not your workout clothes, just put on something fresh. Some people even like to take a hot shower before they stretch, kind of be clean a little bit. And then just make sure you're wearing a top that covers your chest and covers your back so that you don't slide around on the ball. Make sure you're well hydrated. Make sure you're in a really good mood, like you've got time to stretch. And while you're stretching, you're going to put your phone away. And like I said before, I like to put some essential oils, or you could do a little atomizer somewhere so the room smells nice. You could turn out the lights. Anything like that that makes it a little more special for you. Okay. Kneeling. So I'm going to start with the big ball. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with what's called the rollout. Now the rollout, honestly, like, I think you could probably start with the kneeling series, but I think that the kneeling series is a little advanced for most people. It's a little more challenging, so I'm going to say it's better being third in row than first in row, okay? But a lot of people will do this kneeling rollout like kind of automatically before they start their stretch routine. All right, so we're going to be kneeling on the pad, toes are pointing back. Now I'm going to push down on the ball, and I'm going to get nice and tall. And then I'm going to start to push the ball away. Now I want you to notice that I'm keeping my weight back on my knees. The weight is here, right? So I'm not leaning into the ball, right, at all, okay? Just gentle, light touch. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to press away. Now I'm going to start to pull the back of my butt up, right? Pull up like this. I think they call that it's like cheerleader butt, right? So I'm going to lift up my butt, and I'm going to curve my belly down, and I'm going to drop my chest, but notice that my heart is still aiming forward, and my gaze and my chin are forward. So we don't want to do this, because that's not the drill, okay? So we want to be here, and we're going to look forward, and I want you to really turn your hips down like this, okay? And you're going to roll in. Exhale, roll out. So you kind of have to find that perfect place here where you're not sitting back and you're not leaning into the ball, right? You'll find it. It's a perfect little place. Okay, here we go. Roll in. Shine your heart. Exhale, roll. In and out. Okay, so that's the rollout. So you do a bunch of those, okay? And that one's in the middle. So now we're going to do chest. Everybody loves this one. I'm going to show this one in the front. Everybody loves this. So go ahead and kneel, hand on the floor, and then I want to put your hand on the ball, and I want you to aim your thumb down to the floor like that. Aim it down to the floor and poke your elbow up in the air like this, okay? And then I want you to start to drop your chest and push your shoulder towards your thumb. Shoulder towards the thumb. Okay? Now don't let the ball roll around. Try to keep the ball really still. So take a breath in. Exhale. So notice I'm not sitting, right? I'm not sitting down. Stay in your tabletop position and drift your shoulder over towards your thumb. Keep your elbow pointing up in the air, just like that. Okay, and you do that a bunch of times. And that tends to stretch sort of this area, all this stuff in here. Okay, now we're going to go over to the other side, but first we're just going to do a quick rollout in the center. Don't rush anything. Just in the center. And then now we can go over to the left. So hand on the floor, hand on the ball with the thumb pointing down, elbow up. And then I'm going to gently press my shoulder towards my thumb. Make sure the elbow stays up. Now some people are going to do this and they're going to get absolutely no stretch whatsoever. That doesn't matter. You don't have to feel the stretch. You're still creating a novel shape with your body, breath to motion, in kind of like a little meditation. This feels really nice. It's just nice to move and participate with the body, right? creating shapes, memorable shapes for your body. Okay, so that's chest left and right. Now, this one is totally for beginners, but it has an advanced feeling to it, okay? So we're going to set up the same way we did before, like quadruped. Except this time, I want you to make a V with your hand like this, a V. And then I want you to turn the V upside down on the north pole or on the tippy top of the ball, just like that. Okay, so I curled these fingers, made a big V. Now I'm going to gently roll this away and push my shoulder down to the floor. Okay, now notice my hand is free out here. Okay, that's a beginner. Okay, a little more advanced, start closer, press, and at the end of the range, the V is now on the top of the ball. Now press, and that's going to feel a little more pull. So this is flossing, or we're just pulling the nerves that go through the arm, from the neck all the way to the fingers. We're just pulling the nerves, so it's going to feel nervy. It's not going to feel like a muscle stretch. Breath in and exhale. Okay, and then we're going to go to the other side. So because the spine's not involved, we can go ahead and go right to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to make my little V, close my fingers, start a little close here, but start in my quadruped. I'm going to push that, press it away, and I feel a lot of nerve pull. Press away, push my shoulder down a little bit. So remember, we're not cramming, we're not jamming, we're just feeling what it is, right? We're resetting back to baseline, okay? So that's flossing on left and right. Okay, next, we're going to move down to the lower body. Hip flexor stretch. Now this is a good one, okay? This is not for everybody. Just give it a chance. Most people, so hip flexors are the muscles that are right here, and they make your leg go like that, right? They bring your leg up. Okay, so go ahead and step forward a bunch, okay? Press up nice and tall, and we're going to gently walk the ball away. We're going to gently drop the hips forward, but don't lean on the ball. Notice I'm kind of even a bit of a back bend. I'm shining my heart. Okay, so I'm stretching the other side hip flexor. Okay, so I want you to see this alignment first, okay? Now, for the best alignment, it's knee, hip, knee should be in a straight line. So most people are going to be like this. So from here to my hip to my knee is not a straight line right now. But a lot of people, like, this is all they've got, right? They can't get into this. But it just takes time. Okay, all right, so let's go to the other side. So I'm going to step forward. I'm going to push on the ball to get nice and tall. I'm going to come into a back bend. Right, so here again, here's that straight line. So we're looking for this. It's almost like you're going to put your thigh completely on the pad. Yeah, so here we go. Breath in and exhale, drift. And inhale. Now I've got the ball here. The ball's not part of the drill. It's a prop, right? So in all of these drills that we're doing for stretching, the ball's a prop. It's a helper, right? So don't lay on the ball in this drill. Just, it's loose, right? It's loose. Okay, so you're going to do that as many times as you want, 5 or 10 times, okay? And then again, because the spine's not involved, we didn't have to do something in the middle. Okay, next. So now we're going to hip open to the side. So let me move here. Okay, so I'm going to step instead of here, I'm going to step here in a generous amount. So it's knee, heel, toe alignment in the same plane. So not here and not here. In the same plane. It's really get out there, step out there, okay? Now, I'm going to gently push back my knee. I'm going to turn my chest forward. I'm going to pull the shoulder back. and I'm going to gently drift. Now that's already a lot of stretch. That's a lot of stretch. So this is here helping me be up. Take a breath in. Exhale, push back, pull back, and drift. So that's all this stuff in here. Take a breath in and stretch, right? So as many times as you want. Okay, and then we're going to go to the other side. So I'm going to look down and I'm going to get that knee, heel, toe alignment. I'm going to make sure I'm nice and tall. I'm going to press this back. I'm going to pull my other shoulder back and I'm going to drift over to the side. So the temptation is when you drift is to turn the chest and look over here, but you're missing the stretch. Okay, so pull this back, pull this shoulder back, right? You want to stay as flat as you can, keep your chest completely forward, and then gently drift. This side's much tighter. This is my water ski pull-up leg. Yeah. Right leg in, left leg trailing. Yeah. Okay, let's do one more just because it's cranky today. Great. Okay. Next one we're going to do is frog. Frog on the ball. So we're going to switch. In general, I like to do frog on the ball with a little ball. Okay? So you're going to come back into the quadruped. You're going to put your knee on top of the ball, just like this. So notice I've got a nice square alignment, right angle here. I'm going to press away, but I want to make sure that I don't end up like drifting over onto the top of the ball. So I'm just going to press away, and I'm going to scoop it around kind of like in a little circle, like that. Remember, we want to stay in motion. So this is all inner thigh. You could even do it like this. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. So half of the circle is a breath in and half of it is a breath out. Now, I'm doing that frog, but I'm not feeling a huge stretch. So does that mean I'm not getting any benefit? No. Of course I'm getting benefit because my legs are kind of this far apart all day. So if I put them, really far apart in the frog, they're getting that experience of being apart. Now, let's say we don't have a little ball and I'm not as tall as me. We can use the front corner. So instead of on top, you can just be here, come into your quadruped, and that works just as well. See, I'm not using the top of the ball. That's about as high as the little ball is. Okay, and you can go both directions. And if you want, you can kind of, get out there a little bit. But I'm going to say a better way to get out there is to just straighten your leg on top of the ball and do straight leg frog on the ball out here. I think I'm bumping into my dumbbells. Okay, straight leg frog, just like that, okay? All right, make sure your belly's in and tight when you're in your quadruped position. Okay, quads in tabletop. Oh, brother. Okay, so little ball or big ball, I'll show you on both. Okay, now this is really challenging, okay? But I'm going to say it's worth it. So it might be helpful. Okay, let's say you have both balls, or let's say I have a chair handy. So pretend this is a chair. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to the chair. I'm going to put my foot up on the ball, just like this. Okay, and then I'm going to use the chair to bring me up. Now, let's say you don't have that. Just hang out there. Say, this is all I've got is this, right? From here. So I'm going to sit back. I'm going to walk myself up. And there's going to be a little spot here where it's a little tough. And you're going to push up. Now I'm getting a nice stretch all here, okay? Just like that. So how are we going to put this in motion? You're just going to lean back a little, like a plank, and come forward. Lean back a little, and forward. So notice I'm not sitting down. I'm using my hands to push my hips forward. And I'm getting a really nice quad stretch. So everybody's going to feel it in a different place. Okay, now that's pretty easy for me. So I'm going to say, I'm going to show you on the other side with the big ball. So I'm going to put my knee on the mat here. My foot's pointing up. Now, before my leg was kind of curling lower, but now it's really high, isn't it? Okay, I'm even going to bring the ball in a little closer. Okay, I'm going to step up. Hands up on the knee. So you need to do the step up for the high ball and press up. Okay, so that's a lot of stretch here now. A lot of stretch. Okay, so I'm going to put my hands here. I'm going to get nice and tall. I'm going to lean forward, shine my heart, and press, breath to motion. And I'm going to get a really nice focused quad stretch, okay? Now the ball might wobble around a lot. That's okay. You know, that'll change over time. Okay, and I'm going to come out. So I'm going to come back to my tabletop, and I'm going to come out. Okay. Advanced. I'll show you from the front. Okay. It might help to pin the ball against something. Okay, so we're going to do doubles. So I'm going to put both knees down like this. I need my little helper. Come here, helper. Okay. It'd probably be better if this wasn't a round ball, but if it was something more solid, I can handle it. I can handle it. Oh, I can't handle it. I can't get up any higher. Can't get up any higher. My hamstrings are cramping. Okay, so a chair would have been better, for sure. Something a little more solid. I was so sure I could do it just by myself, but there is sort of this little place between here and being completely up. It's sort of like this little no man's land, and you really do need some support. Okay, so use your imagination. All right, so we're done with the kneeling, and I hope you enjoyed that. So let's move on to the last segment, which is the standing series. And this one's pretty short. Okay, so I'll see you for that next. Okay, let's go ahead and get set up for the standing series. So I'm going to say, for beginners, let's use the large ball. And if it's more advanced, you can use the small ball. We don't need the pad. Okay, so standing series is about really getting into the lower back, the hamstrings and the legs and the lats a little bit more, okay? So the first one we're going to do is a lot like from the kneeling series. It's a rollout, but instead of rolling out kneeling on the floor, we're going to roll out standing up, okay? So fingertips on top of the ball. I would even bring them like off of the North Pole and bring them a little closer to you, okay? Gently bend the knees and then press away and fold at the hip into a flat back. So notice right away my chin came up, my gaze went forward, and my heart is shining forward. Just like that, okay? Breath in and out. So you don't have to come all the way up. But what I want you to notice is I'm really working on rotating my hip, if that makes sense. Okay, press away and come up. Breath in. Exhale, press away. So I'm kind of doing two things at once. The ball's going out, my upper body's going that way, and my lower body is going backwards at the same time. So you could say like it's almost like self-traction, like you're pulling your spine apart. The top of the spine is going this way, and the bottom of the spine is going the reverse direction at the same time. So that's a roll out. That's a good one, isn't it? Okay, now we're going to do hamstrings. So what I want you to do is start with, see, I'm going to open up so you can see. So take a pretty shallow stance. So what I mean is not like this. A pretty shallow stance. Put your feet underneath your hips. So your feet are going to be hip width apart, left and right, and a little bit staggered front to back. Okay? And then I want you to straighten your legs best you can. Hands on the ball. Okay? And then I want you to gently press away. And I want you to come into a flat back and bend the front knee. Okay? And then roll up. Re-straighten the front leg. And then roll and bend the front knee. Okay? We're going to kind of lead into this a little at a time. Make sure your back is flat. Bend the knee. Okay, here we go. Now you're going to roll out, hamstring roll out, straight legs. Make sure you have a nice flat back. Remember, lower is not better. We're just trying to sometimes I say we're just kind of digging into these little corners, little spaces, little dark corners of the body that never get a chance to get any range of motion, right? We're just going to kind of find those little corners. And there's this one, it's like the back of the knee or little parts of the hamstring. Yeah. And then we're going to switch. Same setup. And then just, for good measure, so we're going to roll, flat back, and bend the front knee. And straighten, and roll, and bend the front knee. And straighten, and then one more. Roll, bend, okay, and then here we go. So next time we're going to roll, flat back, straight leg. Now this side's really tight on me. Really, really, really tight. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be gentle. Just gentle. I'm going to focus on it, not that it feels bad. I'm going to focus on it with my breath. And help it soften. Yeah, that feels really nice. Did you like that? That's one of my favorites. I like stretching my hamstrings a lot. Okay, now we're going to do the standing twist. Now this is probably pushing it into advanced a little bit, okay? So take a pretty wide stance. One hand on top of the ball. Now, I want you to just push the ball away a little bit, and then I want you to look up to the ceiling, keep both legs straight, and then I want you to just reach up towards the ceiling. Now, it doesn't matter how far you can go. Now listen, if you're reaching so hard that you can't breathe anymore, you're reaching too hard, okay? So, I know I can do more, but we're just starting, okay? Now, I want you to imagine you could touch the ceiling with your fingers, okay? Hold your fingers on the ceiling, and with the ball, push it away, but don't let your fingers come off the ceiling. So you have to use your imagination. Take a big breath in. Exhale. Leave your fingers on the ceiling. Push away and fold, but don't let your fingers come off the ceiling. So what I'm trying to do is help you not force too much, right? Don't cram it. Don't push too hard. Remember, we're trying to build a better relationship with our body and with movement. Yeah, so I'm doing a bunch because I really like these too, right? All we're doing is restoring length. We're not trying to add new length. Okay, there's no reason for that. And so sometimes too much length can also be defined as joint instability, right? Like, I'm just going to say some people in yoga class that are overly flexible, overly pushing the limits, kind of like in a show-off kind of way. That's okay, that's cool, that's their thing, that's what they identify with, that's totally fine. I'm just saying, don't admire that, okay? All right, so let's try this side. So I'm going to reach up, try to touch the ceiling, and this side's way, way, way tighter. Okay, touch my fingers. I'm not going to let go of the ceiling, and I'm going to take a breath in and gently roll it out. Keep my fingers on the ceiling. So I kind of have to push up to the ceiling as I press the ball away. So I'm going to make sure that even though my body is getting a little lower when I push away, you can see that I'm like actively reaching up to the ceiling at the same time. And one more time. Big breath in. Exhale. Yeah. So key is make sure that you're moving, right? Okay, last one. For standing, just going to put this here. We're going to take the little ball or the big ball, either, okay? And we're going to come into neutral position, just like this. So feet pretty far apart, knees are bent. Actively engage your core. Elbows are down. And I just want you to start oscillating. So I've got like the North Pole pointing towards my eye. I'm going to look at that little North Pole and turn and turn. And I'm just going to kind of pick it up. So I like to finish with this rotation because I feel like it kind of resets everything. Okay? Yeah. And then I'm just going to break my eyes away to you and keep rotating. So now I'm turning my neck, but it's by reference. Yeah, so my neck is turning the shoulders. And then I'm just going to reach up. I'm just going to tick-tock a little bit. Tick-tock, just gently. Yeah, and then I'm going to call it a day. Thanks so much. I hope you learned a lot about stretching, not just how to stretch using the Swiss balls, but you learned a little bit more about how to appreciate the value of movement, the things that are missing in your day, the things that you can add. I mean, we just added, honestly, every single thing that I can think of how to use the ball to get into a stretch. So this is, a one tool, just one ball and you and the earth, and you get a nice stretch. Remember, stretches are nudges, right? Not pushes, just nudges, gentle to your body. All right, thanks so much. Dr. Forrester Dean here with the stretch for you. See you next time.